I would like to say Happy Independence Day to everyone who has come to the videos and contributed. We're having a great discussion here about this issue with the USS Fitzgerald. We have a contributor here that has brought up an excellent point, and I think it's going to be a turning point and a cornerstone in the investigation. Now, I had made statements in earlier videos that I was leaning away from the EMP story because of all of the quote-unquote verifiable electronic devices that were working after the alleged time of the collision, when they say that everything went dark. But this particular person who has written a comment says, and her name is Ruth, says, "You say Sailor Martin tried to get a call to his father at 0206. But the father, in a CNN YouTube Rick Baldwin interview, said he noted the time of the attempted call was logged on his phone as 2:56. Please explain why you contradict the father's testimony. The following is a link to the YouTube. Listen about time 3:37." And we're going to do that here in a minute. Now, when I initially referenced this, I went to the transcript that was put online from CNN, and I didn't listen to the detail of the entire video. The reason I didn't do that is because I don't want us to get into a habit of emotional thinking here, and that is a CNN hallmark, that they always ask people how they feel about something, not what they think about it. And I could do a whole nother video on that, but we're going to go to that video. Real quick before we do that, though, the reason I am leaning away now from leaning toward more the EMP is because of something else, and it was another contributor here, another person who's come to the videos, and I've always said, you guys are fantastic about figuring this stuff out. It's Thomas G10, I think it's MTN. Number one, portable water pumps are not computer controls. Portable pumps could have been supplied to save the ship. An electronic device doesn't have, well, electronic attack doesn't have to be an EMP attack on all electronics. Those portable water pumps are in fact gas operated. So if we take away that the pumps are gas operated, and we take away that this phone call may not have occurred, and I'll show you why I think that in a minute here, we definitely might have a real strong case now for that EMP weapon that brought this ship down, and that's what you folks have been saying all along. So anyway, let's go to this CNN anchor, and I'm going to ask you folks what you think about what's maybe going on and going through the minds of these two people here.
Yeah, the way we communicated was with the WhatsApp. And last time I actually spoke or heard his voice was that Tuesday. And throughout the week, we were texting, but I was texting him, but I didn't hear anything. And what I understood that the crash actually happened at 2:20 a.m. And I'm looking at my phone, and at the top where it actually said his last time of activity, and that's how we communicated. It actually said 2:56, which was 36 minutes after the fact.
So on WhatsApp, your son, after his ship has been hit and the water is filling in,
yes,
he goes to his phone,
yes,
to reach out to you.
Yes.
How does that?
Okay, now when I watched this, I really couldn't believe what I was watching, because why would the father's phone have said 2:56? It doesn't make sense why in Hillthorpe, Maryland, where he was, and I brought this up here, this Google time zone differentiator, if his phone said 2:56, which is what he's saying here, 14:56, would have been the equivalent in military time. Local time in Tokyo, Japan would have been almost 4 in the morning. And this is way after the attack. If we put in 2:56 over here, and we'd have to convert that to, of course, because of the time difference, 2:56. Well, let's say it said 2:56 a.m. Let's just go with that. 0256 a.m. and see what that says. Yeah, that would have been 1:56 p.m. there. And in case anybody has any questions, when it's 5:29 p.m. on, let's say, July 3rd here, it is already July 4th in Japan at 6:29 a.m. So they are 13 hours ahead of us. So I went to the WhatsApp thing, and I went through their thing, and it says this. Their question and answer, sorry about that. What time does WhatsApp use for different time zones? If two persons are chatting and both of them are in different time zones, how last seen timestamp is detected and displayed? Like any other thing involving time on a computer, it's likely stored as UTC Unix timestamp converted to the local time zone at runtime. Right, so if it had been 2:56 in the morning, his phone, the father's phone speaking of, wouldn't have displayed the local time in Japan. It would have displayed what the local time was in Maryland. And you got to remember this too. That interview was done very, very, very early, right after this attack happened, and they ran this story like the next day. And this was before the Navy revised the time back to 1:30. So I'm wondering if CNN just jumped the shark here, so to speak. If they totally blew it because they were trying to get a feel-good story out and trying to get the lead on this. You know, we've seen them make stuff up before, you know, and they've been doing it for a long time now. So I don't know. I really don't know about this, folks. I mean, I don't know if you trust CNN, if you believe this, if you want to err on the side of caution and stay with what they're telling you about this, but I really have some questions about this now. About this story, about this phone call, because that phone call was the fly in the ointment, so to speak, of this investigation. Because how could honestly we have had this ship that did not have the ability, allegedly, to make any communications off that ship to anybody anywhere other than this kid below decks after the attack with salt water rushing in? And while it is a feel-good story and you want to believe something like this, and you definitely don't want to call into question the father, especially at this time, I don't know, folks. What do you think? I mean, could this be another false flag? Could this be something where we're being fed a completely, totally bogus story about the events of that night, about what actually occurred? And if this, I'll say this again, if this were truly just an unfortunate accident, I do not understand why the entire crew has been forced to sign non-disclosure agreements and no other independent agency is allowed to investigate the black box, investigate the ship, or speak to any members of the crew. That would smack to me of some type of a criminal act or some type of an act of war. Not just an accident. Why the U.S. Coast Guard is involved is still a head-scratcher, but anyway, I'm going to leave this up to you folks to let you folks do what you do best. Once again, thank you to Ruth, whomever you might be, and thank you to, down here, I want to get this right to make sure I don't not give credit where credit is due. It is a wonderful thing to have people come here, and Thomas G10 Mountain talking about the portable water pumps and them being gas operated. So like, share, subscribe. Thank you very, very much. I really appreciate everybody's help and input, and I am going to really be interested in what you folks have to say about this one. Thank you.